given what we've heard, what is possible?
If you look at the farmer across the board, the picture is the same. So my answer to that is that include the farmer and come up with solutions that will enable the farmer, improve the farmer's livelihood. At the end of it all, that's what we want. You make your profit, but also the farmer wins. Thank you.
Hamza, what can be done to change the situation?
I think you need to do a reorganization at the household level, empower the woman at the household level, educate the woman at the household level, attack the cultural system to enable the woman to own land, especially in the customary land tenure. In the formal land tenure, freehold, leasehold, this is now becoming okay. But the customary is still seated onto the woman. This investor is going to come into that community and he wants to talk to the person with the rights. So please go and reorganize down at the cultural level, empower this person so that you find them really ready to go onto the negotiating table.
In the absence of that, those laws not having been changed, what can be done? You represent the Investment Authority. You know what the issues are. You know that women are at a disadvantage. What are you suggesting can possibly be done?
Well, what we have tried is, for example, in the compensation schemes, rather than giving out direct cash to the compensatees, government is moving towards acquiring alternatives to the households and the communities rather than giving them direct finance, because direct finance has been misused by the heads of the households, whom I'm ashamed to say men. So they are moving into alternatives and giving these people alternative accommodation, alternative farming areas to be able to secure their future in this kind of setting.
All right.
Well, I would say that there are good, I really truly believe in inclusivity, and I think that there are models out there that can be replicated, that can go to scale. There is a lot of resources that have been put into developing these models. They are not, these business models, those are not easy.
Which are those?
It needs a lot of risk capital in many ways. It needs a lot of mentorship. These are models that cannot be developed over time, in a short term. But they are out there, and we are working on those. So I wouldn't be so negative about inclusivity, because I think that one needs to spend time on those. I think that the other thing I would like to bring in is the issues that when we talk of investors, we actually talk about foreign investors. And in bringing the issue of foreigners, this is so emotionally loaded for us Africans, that I feel that we tend to forget that there is land grabbing going on in our own countries by our own political elites, yeah? And our own political elites actually are using and misusing this same, traditional communal systems that is highly unequal, and they know it, yeah? So I think we need to be more honest with ourselves and really begin to differentiate and say, let's be more aggressive to fighting our own land grabbers, because when we do that, then we can fight the foreign land grabbers, So.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. What can be done? One, as far as I'm concerned, we must set our socio-cultural beliefs right and let everyone understand that we are no longer living in the old days where women were being marginalized deliberately because of our socio-cultural standing. The second thing, we must always have, or rather we have to deliver what you may almost call long-term strategies that are very clear that it is not something that we shall achieve tomorrow, it is something that we shall achieve over time, because we've got to change our mentality as we get into the investing into women and, largely in women. Then let's also try to ask ourselves the same question I said earlier, what is the motivation, so that we can enhance that motivation, both for the private, the foreign, the national and the international investors, and also the government. So that then it is very clear, nobody is being forced towards doing something, because anytime you put pressure on somebody to do something by force, it's rarely achieved. But if you create a clear motivation, it will always be achieved. And lastly, let's have a very clear monitoring and evaluation of asking ourselves, are we achieving what we intend to achieve in terms of gender equity? Thank you.
As Equity Bank, what are you committing to?
Sorry?
As Equity Bank, what are you committing to doing?
As Equity Bank, I think I will commit that we will continue to still support women, particularly, as I said, we have already created a division for women, and we have facilities that are supporting women, and this is something that we're going to continue doing, because it's an intention and it's an internal drive that is giving us.
All right, George,
Yeah.
we'll have to.
Yeah.
Esther?
I think that we need to deal with the regulatory and policy frameworks in countries and improve compliance with commitments made, and that goes into streamlining more the investment agreements that we have in countries. In Uganda particularly, I think this has been a challenge, but it also takes working together and making everybody understand the importance of this, and that comes, for me, I think, dialogues like this in countries very important to create a common understanding and common goals for both government, civil society, and the investors, but also having community voices in those spaces is very important. So dialogues plays a very big role in ensuring that we get to a common position. I also think that we need to empower communities more, and that's the civil society role, of course, to negotiate and to stand their ground where they think things are not working right. And so civil society, we need to take a bit of more responsibility in this environment to make sure communities are prepared, and particularly women are prepared to defend their rights. Thank you.
All right. Ali? Mr. Kira?
My final words would be what we need to do as governments is to ensure that we optimize and also increase the area under cultivation. And in doing so, we also come up with the deliberate interventions to ensure that the marginalized are taken care of. And I had mentioned those kind of interventions which are geared towards women, youth, and the other marginalized groups. The other thing is also to make the people, and in this case, the marginalized, to be part of the decisions which are made by the government. And this is being done through public participation. And of course, there are several other things that we also need to do, maybe studies like this. As governments, we need to look at them seriously and see how such findings can be used to inform policies of the government. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I just have one question to ask, I think, both to yourself and to Hamza. The issue raised about not only looking at foreign investors, but also it was raised here by Paula, political elites domestically who are grabbing the land.
Political elites?
Yes.
Well, I would not want to see investments in land as something that is being controlled by political elites. We need to see that as investments into the country. Because at the end of the day, the large-scale, land-based investments, they definitely contribute to the GDP of the country. And through that GDP, that is also where we also, as government, get revenue. And we use that revenue to initiate interventions in education, in health, in agriculture, and in other areas. So we should see them in a positive way. We should not see them as investments which are coming from outside. They are actually coming to at least address some challenges that we have as a society. And they are necessary. As I said in Kenya, our land use is about 9.5%. We do a lot of importation in terms of the basic foodstuffs, which should not be the case. And I think to me, I think those investments are necessary, and the thing that the government needs to do is to address the negative consequences which might come out as a result of those investments.
Okay. Hamza?
I think there is no land grabbing. These are connotations, media connotations, especially in Uganda.
Oh dear.
The fellows who come and claim land grabbing are the same fellows who have put pen to paper onto these agreements while giving out their land to the investors and misuse the resources that come out. Now, what happens is whenever the political actors come to really sensitize the people, really to try to make them understand the projects, they are connoted to the land grabbing, and they think the political actors are part of these schemes. But we have realized that to penetrate these communities, it is important to involve the political actors. Now, at the end of the day, it is the scheme of land grabbers. But of course, in extremist situations, there are a few who have ridden onto the illiteracy of the community. Those who make them sign agreements for compensation for monies that are never paid. Now, these happen in every society, but should never be generalized that the political and the government actors are grabbing.
All right.
land.
Hamza, I think there'll be a lot of people during the tea break who'll want to put some stern questions to you over that. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm round of applause and thanking our panelists this morning. I think we'll agree that their inputs and their engagements have been constructive. We've come up with several examples or concrete things that we think can be done in the short to medium term, but certainly there does seem to be a great deal of work that needs to be done in this area. I thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the rest of your deliberations today.